Hello everyone, back to today's second video. You're going to have a look at whether next week to 10 days for today's second video. We'll also be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, runs around a couple of weeks. And we'll have a look at the CFS V2 for the next month as well. That takes us into the beginning of July. Weekend forecast has been released. It's going to be a very unsettled week coming up. There could be showers or longer spells of rain, and it might get really wet across some parts of the country around the middle part of the week, Tuesday to Thursday, looking very wet in some places. So have a look at the weekend forecast and see what's happening. Right, so we'll get on with your second video update. We'll have an update for download and also the Isle of Wight Festival for you this evening, by the way. So we'll begin this update by having a look at the central England temperature. We are nearly a week in now for June, and we're currently standing provisional up to yesterday, 7th of June, currently standing at 14.1, an anomaly of just 0.8 of a degree above average. So we're under 1 degree above average now with our temperature anomaly at 14.1, and that's going to drop further over the next week. I think we could well be looking at a temperature anomaly below average by this time next week, to be honest, by the time we get through to the middle of June. I would imagine that's going to be somewhere in the 13s, maybe even under 13, in fact, by this time next week. So going to be a really cool first half to June, or certainly cooler than average. Then we'll have to wait and see where things are going as we move into the second half of the month. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF on the top and the GFS, which I'll bring in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure and blue to low pressure. These are the mean flow charts for the 7 to 10 day time frame. So this is going to take us to around the 15th of the month. So we're going to go into the second half of June actually with the week to 10 day time frame. So the ECMWF is placed in this area of above average heights to our east, but also to our north and northwest as well. So quite a lot of high pressure within the northern latitudes, leaving us next to this trough of below average heights, next to this trough of low pressure that's sitting out to the west of the country. So we may start to pull up some slightly warmer air from the south. That's the first thing that could happen there. As we get into the second half of the month, we might start to see temperatures beginning to lift up a little bit. And with pressure rising kind of right to our east, southeast, we might just start to dry things out a little bit in that south and southeastern corner. However, overall that still looks quite an unsettled anomaly in the 7 to 10 day time frame. This is how the GFS is looking. Again, below average heights, this time a little bit to our north and also in the Atlantic. Loads of northern blocking, all this high pressure up here around Green and extending back into the North Pole. And then a big ridge in the east of Europe. That's bringing very warm, hot air up the eastern side of Europe, of course. But for us, we remain rather cool, rather changeable, probably, in the 7 to 10 day time frame, albeit that trough of low pressure is beginning to weaken, it's beginning to lift out a little bit as we get towards the middle part of the month. So around mid-month, we might start to generate some higher pressure. We shall see how long, if we do, that is able to last for. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off below average right now. It's cool at the moment. It's going to be staying, dates on the bottom of the chart, going to be staying below average pretty much to the middle of the month. That's 15th, 16th of June just there. So until then, below average. Up in the extended range, going toward the final week, not quite the final week, but just heading up towards the final week of June. It is beginning to turn a little bit warmer there with the upper air temperatures. However, that's a very cool looking ensemble chart, you would have to say. Generally, that is below average, at least until kind of like 20th of June. So it looks pretty chilly to say the least, and a big deluge coming up in the next few days. Look at all these rainfall spikes that's in here. Remember, this is for London as well. It's down in the southeastern part of the country. So it's one of the drier places normally in the UK. But from around the 10th of June to around sort of the 14th of June, that sort of period, producing really, really big precipitation spikes. So there is the potential here for some very, very wet weather indeed in the coming few days. That's covered by the weekend forecast, of course. Around Tuesday, Wednesday, there could be some flooding rains across parts of the country. It goes a little bit drier for a while through the third week of June, but towards the end of the chart, maybe signs of the precipitation spikes beginning to come back a little bit. That's in the extended range, though, so it is unreliable. Temperature anomalies from the 8th through to 16th of June below average. Going to be cooler than average week coming up across the UK and Ireland. In fact, most of Western Europe, through France, through Spain, through Portugal, most parts of Western Europe are coming out cooler than average in the week ahead. Eastern and southeastern parts of Europe are much warmer there. Summer really is in the east of Europe. It's one of the classic balancing acts of the weather and of nature, that if the east and southeast of Europe is hot, the north and the northwest of Europe will tend to be cooler. And of course the reverse tends to be true as well. So if it's hot in the west and northwest of Europe, it will tend to be cooler in the east and the southeast of Europe. It's just one of the ways that the weather sort of tends to balance itself out across the continent, across Europe. And we see a classic example of that. This time it's warm in the east and cool over in the west. Precipitation anomalies above average for the UK and for Ireland. Looks like it'll be a wet week coming up from the 8th through to the 16th of June. Cooler and wetter than average sums it up. So that's how things are looking on Tuesday. We've got this big blocking area of high pressure centred over Iceland and back up to Greenland too. That's bringing down these cool temperatures into western and northwestern parts of Europe. The heat, on the other hand, is over on the eastern side of Europe, coming up out of North Africa and into the eastern part of the continent. Not only is it cool, but also we're generating these little areas of low pressure as well. We're in a trough in the 500 millibar flow, essentially they've got a low there, there's another trough just there, and that could start to enhance the precipitation potential through to the middle of next week. Could get very wet indeed. Low pressure in the North Sea, just south of Norway, on Thursday. So cool, unsettled showers along the Belt Bank, some really wet weather mixed in at times too. That's how things look on Friday. Below pressure to the north of Scotland. Then look at all this northern blocking that we've still got over Greenland. And into next weekend, we do start generating a little bit of a ridge of high pressure. So we finish off with this in the weekend broadcast. By the time you get through to next weekend, just a little bit of a ridge beginning to start building across the country. It could settle things down for a while. Anyway, the ridge looks fairly weak, so I'm not sure how long it's going to last. But for a few days anyway, from next weekend into the third week of June, looks like we're getting some higher pressure building up. That will at the very least bring some drier conditions, temperatures perhaps recovering back towards the seasonal average. However, it's not all that long before we begin to take that high pressure back north again and lowering the heights of the south. So we more or less finish up back to square one actually by the end of a GFS run, which gets us to Monday the 24th of June today. The high pressure has returned into kind of like northern blocking back to Greenland and Iceland, and you'll notice low pressure is falling again to our east and south, and again we're bringing in those northeasterly winds. So although we do generate some high pressure around day 10 or some higher pressure around days 10, by day 15 we're back to northern blocking and low pressure once more. There is a weather window of drier and sort of average type conditions though. The GFS parallel run, remember we're going to be finished with the GFS parallel run on Wednesday or after Wednesday, as on Wednesday the GFS parallel run will become the GFS operational run. So very soon we're going to be finished talking about the GFS op and para. Anyway, this is the GFS parallel run for Tuesday. Again, looks like it could be really wet down in the southeast. Look, there's a little area of low pressure in the North Sea, and we've got northern blocking around Greenland and Iceland into Wednesday and Thursday, staying unsettled, cool northeast winds, and particularly for England and Wales, there could be a deluge of rain. into next weekend, well, we don't get as much of a build of pressure next weekend with the GFS parallel run. So that's how we look on Sunday the 16th. Still rather showery probably, and I suspect quite cool as the wind remains kind of like from a northerly direction, if anything. Heading up towards day 10, low pressure then starts to attack from the Atlantic, so never really settling down for any length of time with the GFS parallel run. However, in the very extended range, look what the parallel does. It does start to raise the heights a little bit. So as we get through to the end of the parallel run, which is Monday the 24th of June, maybe just hinting at being a little bit drier and warmer. It does look as though the second half of June might produce something a little bit drier and warm, but it does all look a little bit flimsy, I have to say. ECMWF, again, northern blocking on Tuesday, a northeasterly wind bringing showers or longer spells of rain. That looks wet as we get through to Wednesday and Thursday. We've got a trough of low pressure over top of the country. Look how much northern blocking there is to the north. Masses of high pressure sitting over Greenland and Iceland. Suffice to say, if that happens in the winter, it does get very cold and very snowy because you're pulling in the wind from a long way north and east. And obviously in the winter it's very, very cold with those winds as well. Anyway, back to next week. So showers or longer spells of rain really through next week. Could get very wet and quite unpleasant. Maybe even some localised flooding around the middle part of the week. Into the end of the week and next weekend. So again, just try to raise the heights a little bit to our south and southeast. We're having a go at getting some ridging going. That's how we look at day 10, which is Tuesday 18th of June. So, yes, we are building up a little bit of a ridge down to south, up to 1,025 millibars. It's not all that strong, but certainly it's turning a bit drier and a bit warmer, at least for a while. I'm not sure how long it would last, though. Look, we've got low pressure around the Azores. We've still got quite an appreciable level of blocking up here, so I suspect quite quickly this ridge will, if it does build, will start to go northwards again as the GFS operational is showing, and we will probably start to bring winds back into the northeast. With this low pressure down here, that'll probably start to run energy underneath it, and we could very quickly go back to quite a cool wet pattern. But for a few days, seen around day 10, day 11, day 12, for a few days there is a signal there for something a little bit drier and warmer to start to develop. We shall see. These are actually the options that we've got on the table within the ECM ensembles for day 10. So this is taking us to the 18th of June, 240 hours away. It's from the Icelandic Met Office. We've got 19 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights around Greenland and below average heights underneath it in the Atlantic. So probably bringing in northeasterly winds and running energy in underneath the block. So at day 10 with those 19 still cool and unsettled. There's 12 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and the operation run. The operation run being the run that we was just looking at, with above average heights sitting both to the north and the east of the country, below average heights to our west. So yes, that could be a little bit drier and warmer, at least for a while, bringing up some southerly winds. 11 have a trough of low pressure over the top of the country. Obviously, those are the most unsettled option of all. Very, very unsettled with those 11. Lots of wet weather indeed. And then there's 9 with high pressure stretching out to the north of the UK and low pressure to the south. They're bringing in easterly winds. Could be quite warm, maybe thundery in the south, a risk of some thundery rain. So any build of pressure around day 10 is not all that well supported, actually, you have to say. Most of those options still have the northern blocking signal and low pressure somewhere close to the country. So yeah, any build of pressure around day 10 is not particularly well supported within the ECM ensembles, and it does look a little bit flimsy. This is the option that we have in 2 weeks' time. All members of the ECM ensembles going for this for the 23rd of June, 51 out of 51, 100%, have above average height sitting to the east and to the north. There's no particular trough of low pressure, but you'd expect somewhere around here we will probably have some low pressure, so it could be a bit warmer, but maybe still a little bit unsettled, particularly so to western parts of the country. And then finally with CFS V2, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period is going to take us from the 8th to the 14th of June. The coming week will be unsettled with below average heights very close to the UK, above average heights to our north and east. Troughing the 500 millibar flow means that we're going to be cool and unsettled, potentially very wet actually in times in the week ahead. Week 2 is the 15th to the 21st of June. Again, masses of northern blocking around Greenland, below average heights underneath it from the Atlantic going into the UK. Some ridging across the eastern part of Europe will bring hot air into the east of Europe, but for us, we're still on the cool side of jet stream, so cool and unsettled into the third week of June with that option. Then week 3, which is the 22nd to 28th of June, signs of a bit of a change then, a little bit of above average heights building to our southwest and also to our east, with low pressure starting to get pushed out towards the northern Atlantic. Jet stream would be rising north, so it will be starting to, this is transitional, will be starting to turn a bit drier and a little bit warmer there into the last full week of June. And then we finish up with quite a nice week 4 anomaly. This is the 29th of June to the 5th of July. Summer is back then. Above average heights returning to northern and western parts of Europe. Below average heights lifting out towards Greenland and Iceland. Jet streams going up there too. So that would be taking us into a much drier and much warmer spell of weather potentially for the last days of June and the opening days of July. Summer returns as we get to July. However, that's week 4, so it's a very long way off, but I suppose it would be in line with the expectations from the Gaz Weather Summer Forecast. Anyway, in the next week to 10 days, it's looking cool and unsettled. Low pressure in control. Northern blocking is on the scene too. It's not great. Sort of shades of 2007 and 2012 in the week ahead. Just a few hints that in around days sort of 9, 10, we might start to get a little bit of high pressure going, possibly turning a little bit drier and warmer for a few days anyway. How long that would last, I'm not sure. And the CFS does hint at summer coming back by the time we get through to the start of July, because that is very speculative. Right, so don't forget to check out Weekend Forecast. We'll be back later on with the latest update for download and also for the Isle of Wight Festival. I know a few of you are waiting for Glastonbury updates. They're going to be starting next weekend. I think we'll do the first one for Glastonbury next Friday, or this coming Friday. So not long to wait now for Glastonbury updates. Obviously, if you are going to Glasgow, you'll be hoping there's a dramatic improvement in the weather for the end of June. But anyway, Glastonbury updates around a week's time. Tomorrow, we're going to have some autumn analogues to start off with. We'll have Gaz Weather's Sunny Roundup as well tomorrow, so come back for those updates then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.